Hey guys, you're listening to ChickFlicks with me, your host, Alexisoteng. I'm the chick who watches TV shows and flicks and tells you whether they're worth a binge or a skip. Oh my god, it's so great to be back around the anniversary of when I started this podcast. It's been 3 years, guys. I started this little podcast show in my freshman dorm. And to know that it's been 3 years of growing a little community of people who watch and consume chick flicks in their lives is so unbelievable. I didn't know what this podcast was going to amount to, if I have to be honest. And I kind of started it as just like something for me to do. If you know, at the time I started this podcast, I was not really in a good mental state because my freshman year of college just didn't go the way I had planned. And this was a little way for me to just do something, have something of my own that I could be proud of, that I could invest my time and energy. And I have never regretted for a single moment started this podcast. It has helped me grow in so many ways, and it has continued to reinforce that I love TV shows, I love film, I love pop culture, and I love talking to you guys. So the fact that I'm on season 4, I can't even believe it. I literally can't. And I'm so happy to be back in the studio. If you didn't know, I graduated from college. And so while my graduation was like coming upon me, I didn't know if I was going to continue to be able to make ChickFlicks episodes in the studio in this video format. I was coming up with ideas. And of course, also with the TikTok ban like looming over us at the time, I knew that was drastically going to change how I put my content out there. So I really made a plan to expand the world of ChickFlicks past just making simple film and TV shows reviews, and to really diversify my content. And now that we're starting, I can't wait for you guys to see all the amazing things I have planned. I swear on everything that is holy, like I'm going to be posting reviews on my blog. I'm going to be posting different types of videos that don't just focus on reviewing shows and films, but talking about how they impact pop culture, talking about, you know, the ins and outs of my favorite franchises when it comes to TV series, when it comes to streaming services, when it comes to movies. And I just can't wait to see where we go from here. So sorry to go on a little bit tangent, but I'm so glad to be back. And I think now the slogan's gonna change a little. It's gonna be, and you're watching the chick, you know, who talks about TV shows, pop culture, and flicks, and tells you whether they're worth a binge or a skip. Like, I gotta add the pop culture in there because we're diversifying our content. But of course, since this is the premiere episode of season 4, we have to start off with something we know and love, which is a good old movie review. And not just any movie, a movie starring one of my favorite artists, okay? She has always been in my Spotify and Apple rewind, wrapped, replay, okay? I love this woman. I've seen her in concert. I plan to see her in concert again. And when I heard she was starring in this movie alongside one of my favorite actresses, specifically from my childhood, we already knew it was a done deal. Of course, I'm talking about One of Them Days. So without any further ado, let's jump into this review. All right, One of Them Days. Now, this is an R-rated comedy, and just a quick synopsis. Best friends and roommates Drew and Alyssa are about to have one of them days when they discover Alyssa's boyfriend has blown their rent money. Their duo finds themselves going to extremes in a comical race against the clock to avoid eviction and keep their friendship intact. All right. Now, this is directed by Lawrence Lamont, okay? And this is his directorial debut. His IMDb shows that his previous works run in the realm of like directing music videos, okay? So this being his directorial debut, I was really interested to see if I could, you know, get a feel for his style, for his vision. And I was excited. I love seeing new directors get a chance to like dip their toes, especially with a big platform on the big screen. So I was full support. Now this is written by, I hope I'm saying this right, Sarita Singleton. She was a writer for Insecure, and I am not surprised that this is coming out of the realm of Insecure, as Issa Rae is one of the producers of this movies, as well as One of Them Days was produced by TriStar Pictures in association with Hooray Media. I think that's how it's pronounced, which is Issa Rae's production company. So super, super happy to see Issa in her bag. She is one of my inspirations when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to being a writer and creating your own series. Like, she literally had her own little show on YouTube that she got to make a reality with Insecure, and she's been on the rise as a big giant in Hollywood. So I love Issa Rae down. Now, this movie stars Keke Palmer as Drew, and if you know Keke Palmer, like, you know, she is always working. She is always in her bag. She's always got projects lined up, and she's at this point like a national treasure among like millennials and Gen Z. Like, we love Keke Palmer down. SZA, Vanessa Bell Calloway, Maud Apatow, Cat Williams, Lil Ray Howery, Janelle James, Gabrielle Dennis, Kayla Monteresso. And at the box office currently, it's made 11.6 million. Now, when I'm filming this, it's its premiere weekend. Okay, so it came out on, I believe, the 17th. I saw it in theaters at night on the 17th, and this is its opening day weekend. So 11.6 million. It cost 14 million to make. That's good just for opening day weekend. Okay. I think it's definitely going to surpass what it made or what it cost to make it. So it's on a good track. Now, for its Rotten Tomatoes score, we have a 97% on the tomato meter and a 92% in popcorn meter, which is audience scores, if you don't know. It's verified hot, okay? People are loving this film. But as we love to say here on ChickFlicks, you know you're here for my opinion. Let's get into it. All right. So this, as many people have been stating, is a Friday-esque comedy for the girls, okay? And I completely see that because the chemistry between SZA and Keke Palmer is magic. There's no other way to describe it, okay? Like, I knew we were in for a treat. Like, actually, I made a TikTok when I first heard this film being announced that, like, they were making, like, a buddy comedy movie starring SZA and Keke Palmer, and it's going to be produced by Issa Rae and her production company. I immediately was like, oh, guys, we're about to have a very good film on our hands. I immediately made a TikTok being like, this is an amazing, like, trio, okay? This triangle all-star. This is about to be hilarious, and I know it's going to be good. And then I saw the press tour, and it's like Keke and SZA have known each other for years and years and years. And, like, from what I was gathering in the press tours, they kind of met each other and became on familiar ground during this movie. And I'm like, could have fooled me. Y'all could have told me you've been best friends for like 10 plus years. Y'all had known each other since you were diapers. And I would believe it. All three of them, including like when Issa Rae was doing the press tours with them. Like, it feels like all three of them have been like a little trio for years. So it's evident to me that they were going to like match energies. They were going to riff off each other, and that this was going to be a duo that was just made for the screen. And honestly, it kind of reminds me, like, them together feels a little bit reminiscent of like Tisha Campbell and Tichina Arnold. I said that so wrong. But that duo kind of feels like SZA and Keke Palmer. Like, I see it. And I just felt like this movie was going to kind of establish them as a comedy duo, kind of like Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, Kevin Hart, Dwayne Williams, Kid and Play, you know? Like, I was so excited. And this is SZA's acting debut. I had previously thought for some reason that she like hosted SNL, like an episode of SNL. But no, she just was a musical guest. I thought that because of the Big Boy sketch they did for some reason, but then I was like, no, she did not star. Like, she wasn't the host for that episode. She was just the musical guest. But while we're on that topic, SZA needs to host an episode of SNL. We need to get on that stat. Hey, managing team of SZA, I expect to see that this year. Let's get on to that. And might as well put Keke Palmer as a guest as well, because we already know they work well together. Like, on screen, they surpassed the expectations, which were already high for them. And I'm not surprised, because Keke Palmer is made for comedy, okay? Like, a lot of childhood actors have a hard time, like, still being good at comedy and, like, maturing their chops for these bigger projects, all right? I hate to use her as an example, because I still think she's a great actress and that she just needs a little bit of work. But, like, when we saw Sky Jackson, who, it wasn't Euphoria, was it Euphoria? Or it was Gossip Girl. She auditioned for the new Gossip Girl remake that, like, wasn't good. Sorry, I hate to be the one to say it. And people saw her audition tape and they were like, bro, the Disney acting is bad. Like, this is never going to fly. And unfortunately, when you grow up acting on Disney, on Nickelodeon, on these, like, childhood shows, there's an acting style that works for that demographic and audience. And it's hard to break out of it, especially because it's really only made for, like, preteens, young children, somewhat teens, breaking like 15, 16 at the most. Past that, it doesn't really work when you're doing these young adult TV shows and anything past that. But I feel like Keke's acting was always, like, good. And it had a flair that was perfect for audiences even past the ages of, like, 10 to 15 to 16. Like, I never kind of saw her in the same realm as these Disney actors who had that style that Disney liked. Like, an SNL has a skit on it. Kenan Thompson starred on it. I think it was with Miley. Don't quote me on that. But where they kind of parody about how Disney likes their actors to act. And a lot of these childhood actors, they become engrossed in that way of acting, and it's hard to break out of it. But Keke, I always felt like she was just above the rest, especially because she had a lot of different projects under her belt by the time she got to True Jackson VP. And then after, she started working towards her strengths, being in TV series and movies that highlighted those strengths. And she really does well in comedy and satire and horror. And we can see that from Scream Queens. That's something that, like, people don't remember. And they need to. Like, Scream Queens was that girl. It should have got a third season. Like, I wish people loved it way more than they did, because people did like the first season, and then some people didn't like the second season, and then they canceled it. And I was like, no, like, it was good. They were cooking. You should have gave them time to cook. But Scream Queens, she was amazing. Nope, amazing. Hustlers, okay? Keke knows how to do satire. She knows how to do comedy, and she does well in horror, okay? So satirical horror, especially, that's where she just shows her strengths. So did I have any question she was going to do good in one of them days? No. And her and SZA together, like, I felt like being next to such an amazing and established actor like Keke, that's a daunting task, to shine just as much as she does, to play off her well and not get totally bulldozed. And SZA keeps up with it. Keeps up with Keke, and it's so good. To me, one of them days kind of felt like an Insecure twist on Dude, Where's My Car? Okay? Like, yes, I see the Friday, like, for the girls, that whole aesthetic perfectly. It's really good. I feel like the style and aesthetic of Insecure is very evident throughout this film, and that makes sense because the writer of this film worked on Insecure. She wrote a couple of episodes for Insecure. So it makes complete sense. I kind of feel like Drew, who's played by Keke Palmer, feels reminiscent of Molly and Issa, and Alyssa feels a little bit like Kelly and Tiffany in many ways. And it's just it's a great film. Like, it was a fun film. The vibrant colors, the toning of the movie is just great, and it highlights the LA environment and culture really well, okay? Like the look of this film was super enjoyable, super vibrant colors, super fun. Like, and you know what's one thing I have to like point out and like give props for is that a lot of times in comedies, there's plot holes that we kind of just gloss over because it's a comedy. Like, you're not supposed to be thinking about it too serious. But you know me, I do overthink. I do like to analyze. There were plot holes in this film that I could point out. Like, I'm pretty sure like every single point in the plot that was established came to a nice resolution by the end. They did a really good job, like writing this thing from the start to the finish, bulletproof, okay? And it was really something that kept me guessing. Like the story, I did not see it playing out like it did. And every twist that came about was really good. Something I couldn't have told you was going to happen when I first watched this film. Unfortunately for me, I'm really good at like predicting where films are going to go. Like I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. And that's not necessarily bad because in many ways it should be something that we can see from start to finish. Like the way they built the film should make sense when we get to the end. Like, yeah, it makes sense that we went from point A to point B to point C. But this film, like every point lines up, but I necessarily didn't know like, oh, that was where they were taking it. Oh, that's where they were going with it. That's kind of cool. Wasn't expecting that. It's funny as well, and it works. And not every comedy can do that, okay? Some comedies just have to rely on that slapstick R-rated comedy to gloss over the fact that the plot is convoluted and not good. One of them days is not that, okay? And it doesn't take itself too seriously as well. It doesn't. It feels natural. The charisma of the performances doesn't feel contrived. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like they're going for like those low-hanging fruit type of jokes, okay? A lot of times R-rated comedy go for those really vulgar, really like rambunctious type of comedy in order to get their point across. And it like they still had those moments, but it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like this is a weird place to put it. Felt like, yeah, they did this tastefully and we got the laughs and we went to those little vulgar jokes, but it was done in a right way. Somebody I want to give a shout out to for doing really well in this film, Maude Apatow. I love Maude Apatow. I know people love to be like, she's a Nepo baby. Okay, and what? She's a Nepo baby that knows her strengths and her talents. And I don't like the fact that people use like Nepo baby and nepotism to disregard people who really do work and like do good at what they can do. Okay? I think Maude Apatow, like maybe she did get her role in Euphoria through nepotism. Doesn't mean she didn't kill it. Doesn't mean she didn't do well as Lexi. I can't envision anyone else playing Lexi like she did. Okay? Lexi's play was amazing. Lexi's character, her arc, chef's kiss. And Maude Apatow in this film, it's hard to stand out with the cast that's predominantly Black and still have very good comedic moments against a lot of people whose comedy is their bread and butter. All right? They know how to be a scene stealer. For example, Janelle James, she was on the screen for maybe 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes. And I enjoyed every single minute. She stole those scenes for me. Okay? And Maude Apatow, her character actually felt like very good. Like it was helping move the plot along. Like it wasn't out of place. And she does well as being the white girl who kind of moves into the Black neighborhood and is totally oblivious to what's going on around her. And so love her down in this film. And yeah, this film is fun. We haven't had like a good R-rated buddy comedy movie in a while. And one thing I would like to note is that like Black cinema heavily dominates this type of genre, okay? This sub-genre. And in a while, we haven't gotten these types of films, okay? And a lot of times, if we do get them, they're starring Kevin Hart or Ice Cube or both. And that's not bad. Those two do these type of comedies really well. But I really want to see more actors do this, especially when there's so many who have the chops to make it good. And I'm so glad that Issa and her company, and Keke as well, she's one of the executive producers of this film, decided to make this because we really need to have those films that are not trying to, win awards in the award show season. They're not trying to be that top film. They're just trying to make a film that entertains people, tell a story that brings people together for some laughs in a good freaking time. And it's nice to see two women like dominate the screen this well in a comedy movie, especially when people are like, women aren't funny. Like, have you seen this film? Written by a woman, dominated by two well-established female, one an actor, one a musician, now an actor. This is get into your acting bag. I think you got some chops, baby girl. And yeah, so this was a fun time. I think you can already tell where I'm going with this review, but let's just go to the end. Final thoughts. All right, one of them days, is this film ChickFlicks approved? Hell yeah. This was a good time. I saw this with my friend and I absolutely loved it. Like, she liked it as well. She liked it so much that she had realized she didn't know where her keys were and that she might have left it at the counter, and she didn't want to miss a moment of it. So she just was like, we'll figure this out after the movie. We found the key, but that's how good this movie was. I had to pee halfway through, held my pee, did not go and pee. So if that isn't enough to convince you to go see this film, I don't know what will. Out of 5 stars, I'm giving her a amazing and well-deserved 4 stars. This was a good film. This was a fun time. I hope to see more films out of Issa Rae and her production company, more films from Keke Palmer, and I love, again, to see SZA be the host of an SNL episode. It has to happen, okay? All right? She literally got Big Boy to actually be trending for weeks. People wanted them to actually drop it as a single. Just imagine what kind of sketches we can get out of her, especially with them playing around the fact that she does like to tell a good little lie here and there. I'm sorry. There's just so many good sketches that will come out of that. But we're getting off topic. That's it for the review. So let's head into the outro of this episode. Alrighty. If you've been here for a while, you already know the drill. You can find me and all my socials in my link tree, which is in the description if you're watching on YouTube. I have an Instagram for me, my personal public profile. I have one for just the show. So get on that. Get on that. And I have so many amazing projects and things that I'm working on to do for ChickFlicks, for Simply Alexis. That's kind of my website, my branding, the universe. I have short films now. If you guys know me, you know for a while that I've been working on short films throughout college. I've started to post a lot of them. So go check them out. They're on the channel, Simply Alexis, if you're watching my podcast. Actually, I'm no longer a student, so technically FAU OWL TV isn't where I post ChickFlicks anymore. It's simply on Simply Alexis now. So if you're watching on there, please subscribe. If you're listening on SoundCloud or Spotify or wherever you consume my podcast, please subscribe there, like there, follow me, rate it 5 stars, do all the things to support me, because guess what, guys? I'm going to be doing way more things, giving you guys way more content and expanding this little universe I have created. And again, thank you for sticking with me this long. It's something I love doing. I love making these videos. I love talking about TV shows, films, and discussing with you guys. And I hope we can continue this for many more years to come. But that's it. No matter where you're consuming ChickFlicks, make sure you show some love, some support, you comment, you like, and you do your role and responsibility as someone who wants to support me. And that's it from me, guys. This is Alexis signing off at ChickFlicks. See see you guys in the next episode or article or TikTok or wherever you consume me. Bye.